Hi, and welcome to Florida's Great Northwest. I'm your host, Larry Sassano, and today my special guest is none other than the Chief Operating Officer for BitWizards, Louis Erickson. Louis, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
I know you've been on other shows before, but you know, I was telling you before we got on camera that our organization is primarily a recruitment organization. We recruit targeted industries, and if your company hadn't already been here, we would have tried to recruit your company to Northwest Florida. So we want to talk about your successes and the fact that you're one of the co-founders along with Vince, and 15 years ago was when you started this company here?
15 years this month.
Wow. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
The successes that you've had. So how did you get started? I don't know if anybody really ever got into that question with you when I've seen you on the show before. How did you really get started to develop a software company, an IT company like BitWizards?
Well, Vince Mayfield, my best friend, my business partner, and I, like I said, we were friends for many years, and both software engineers working for different companies in the local area, DoD companies. And it's kind of a funny story, but it started in that classic way, you know, drawing out plans on a napkin at Chuck E. Cheese, literally Chuck E. Cheese, for a birthday party for a little girl who was actually working for us now. But that was in '97, and we kind of thought of a lot of the companies, we call them battery companies. They'd plug you in, burn you out, and throw you away. And unfortunately, a tragic event happened in my life, and my sister passed away, and I inherited her son. And so I really didn't have the ability to do it then. And I moved out to Austin, Texas with them. And it was during the dot-com boom. And at that time, I was doing ATL Comm, which was in high demand. And I suddenly found companies offering me cars and signing bonuses and a jet ski to leave and go work for them as they were pilfering engineers back and forth. And one thing I learned was that the number one reason people work is money, but it's not the only reason people work. And I was very loyal to the company because they're very understanding and helpful as I was 29 trying to raise a team. And so when Christopher grew up and he moved on, I went back with Vince and we revisited those plans, and we decided to start a company that focused on the engineers, that we would invest in training, in high-level equipment, to make their jobs easier. It's a high-stress job. Social events, keeping the team co-located so they could draw from each other's strengths. And by focusing on the engineer, we'd build loyalty, we'd foster the top talent, and they would do a great job for our clients. And in return, our clients would give us more business. So it was a great symbiotic relationship. And it's been an effective model for 15 years that really hasn't changed.
That's excellent. Well, the fact that you've grown the organization from you and Vince to how many today?
We have 36 people, all but 4 working here in Fort Walton Beach.
Oh. So what made you select Fort Walton Beach? I mean, maybe some obvious reasons, but Austin, Texas is a pretty nice IT area as well.
It was, and it was a long debate between Vince and I. We started BitWizards in Austin, Texas. Our 15 years this month was actually a year and a half in Austin, Texas first. Right. And considering our innovation of the mousetrap, which was focusing on the engineers, we decided that Fort Walton Beach actually had a better work-life balance than in Austin. With the high traffic, the city was under a lot of construction at the time. It took forever to get to and from jobs. That it was a bit more mellow in this area, the beaches, the festivals, all that this area has to offer. It drove us to come to Fort Walton Beach. Now, we've had great success, so I can't argue with that. Also, met my wife 4 months after moving here, so nice. No matter how things work out, I've always considered myself a big win to move back to this area.
Well, the fact that you were able to get the talent that you were seeking, that was never an issue for BitWizards located in Fort Walton Beach here.
Well, it has been an issue. I will say that we have drawn some top talent who is attracted to that work-life balance. However, for younger crowd, a lot of them tend to flock more to metropolitan areas, and right. The beach wasn't as big an attraction. We've done really well with local graduates, especially from the University of West Florida. We've been able to kind of train them and foster them and bring them up. We've done well at the middle-aged, more experienced range for those people who've decided they're tired of the big city and moving here with for schools for their kids in the area. It's really that mid-tier, experienced but younger crowd that is a bit of a challenge for us to hire and bring to the area.
Well, I'm thinking you have 36 employees now, or a team. I realize that you like to call people that work at BitWizards part of a team. And when I went on your website to check out everything I could find about BitWizards, I saw that you had a picture of every one of your employees. That's very unusual. But that shows, puts a name with a face. You know, if I'm a customer, and we are a customer of yours,
right.
And you know, so-and-so from your company is doing some work for us, I can go on your website and if I haven't met he or she, I can see his face or her face, and that's a nice association to have, you know. And I'd like to just throw in something right now that everyone that we've dealt with from Florida's Great Northwest in your company has tremendous talent and very nice to deal with. So I mean, not only do they have the skill sets, but they have the polished communication skills. I know that's important to you.
Absolutely. We try to hire what we call triple threats. One, they can do the technology. Two, they work well with their peers. I don't like the prima donna, which happens in our field. As soon as they realize they're speaking a language you understand, they take it up a notch. And lastly, we are consultants. I mean, we build custom applications, we do digital marketing, we do infrastructure for clients to solve business problems. So we have to work collaboratively with our clients to come up with the best solution for them. And in the technology triangle of budget, schedule, and features, we need to understand what is most important to them and adapt our style to make sure we process those things that are most important to them. So you're absolutely right. Our training budget is not solely on the technical aspect of that. It's on leadership, communication. Everybody gets a DISC personality profile training, which allows you to understand who you are and try to identify other people so you can adapt your communication style to best suit them. Communication is the number one reason for failure in software engineering, understanding what needs to be built and putting it together, which is also why we build in an iterative fashion. Build a little bit, show it, build a little bit, show it, to keep that communication going the whole way.
Yeah, people skills are, I think, do you find it difficult to educate potential team members that may not have the people skills that you require?
That is more of a challenge, and often, obviously, there's a base set of skills that are needed, but in hiring, we actually weight those soft skills more important because they're harder to train, the personality traits. It's a lot easier to train the technical, especially somebody who has at least a base of technology. We don't hire somebody with no I mean, they have a degree or some industry experience. Right. Perhaps if they're deficient there, we can overlook it if they have a more direct personality style, an easy communication, good problem-solving skills. One of the best things, what we do is take big complex problems and break them into little chunks and knock them out. I mean, that's all engineering really is. And people who have that good mindset, they're easier to hire and then train the technical if they happen to be deficient in that area. Having said that, occasionally we will find somebody who's perhaps more technical, and we just make sure we use them properly for their strengths, position them in the company that they're doing more of that and less of the customer interface.
The next question I have has to do with the training aspect of it. Now, you mentioned University of West Florida and the programs that they have, software programs, IT programs. Do you have any influence on the colleges and universities in the area for specific type training skill that you do need when you're hiring software engineers?
Yes, we've been invited to many of the colleges, sometimes to speak to the students, sometimes to speak to the faculty and talk to them about our needs. Gretchen at the University of West Florida, I believe, is the liaison for that, and she has facilitated some of those communications between me and their instructors. We occasionally see things not quite eye to eye, but I opened up an intern program. I used to say, your graduates are my interns. Yeah. You know, once they graduate, that's really step one. I got to invest in them for at least a year or two to make them useful. they've kind of maybe seen the light to maybe start a little bit earlier for them, and we've started earlier with great success. I think the colleges are a bit more concerned about training tools. They want to teach concepts, and I appreciate that position, but when there are certain jobs and employers are going to want the specific skills, they're not going to want to train it. I know industry says, well, that's your responsibility, but at BitWizards we do look at those soft skills, but a lot of places don't. The battery companies plug you in, burn you out, and throw you away.
Right.
There's a place for them. There's good money in there. People can gain experience. I don't mean to make it simply critical. It's just a different model. Yeah. But they're not going to hire somebody who doesn't specifically have the skills that they need. If you haven't worked in Visual Studio because you've been a Java programmer in school, they're not going to really care that you understand the theory. They're going to be like, they're not going to hire you.
Right, right. You know, we always market the region from the perspective of the aviation aerospace industry, IT industry, life sciences, and so forth. But do you find much success with the veteran population that we have here? I mean, we have 6,000 retired military each year out of our 6 military bases. Do you have much call? Do you get many applications from transition military men and women?
I don't actually, and Vince and I are both veterans. I'm ex-Navy. He'd been both in the Army and the Air Force. Having grown up in this area, being in ROTC and Civil Air Patrol, we have a huge appreciation of the military. Sure. But it doesn't seem to be a good fit with the IT skills that we have because of the way the DoD does software, which Vince and I came from that world, versus the commercial, quicker pace, higher pressure that we have. People are constantly having to learn the new technology. There's a lot of demands made. Now, I'm not trying to say that people, obviously, there's a lot of initiative in military people, but there's a process that's been driven, process. Right. And we're more agility. So it doesn't always make for a good fit.
Interesting.
And while we have a lot of veterans, I don't know that we're necessarily getting them from the area with experience in IT. It's more perhaps ones who've gotten out and already done other things in other places. And there have been a few exceptions that have done quite well.
Do you attract any of your talent from other parts of the country, West Coast, East Coast, for example?
The North specifically, but we have a lot of people from Ohio, and I don't know why that is.
From Ohio?
It is some of our top talent has come and migrated from Ohio. Kevin Grohosky, Dave Perkins, and a few others. But definitely the North, I think, people who have kind of the mid-tier family, I'm not sure the demographic, but people with kids 12, 13, maybe they've gotten maybe 20 years of experience and they've decided they want more of that work-life balance, they're tired of the cold. We've attracted those people from the North.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we recruit, as I said, and so we're not attracting talent, but we like to as well, but we try to attract the industry sectors. So for us, if you look at 2 industry sectors, which is related to yours, aviation aerospace is mostly IT anyway, mm-hmm. and advanced manufacturing. Ohio, particularly Cleveland, is one of those areas that we target, as well as parts of Connecticut, as well as LA, as well as Seattle, because those are where the heavy concentrations, and of course those are where the engineers are plentiful as well, mm-hmm. for those particular industry sectors. So we'll make frequent trips, in a couple of years to all those different markets, try to attract the companies, and but one thing that we do face in what we do, and I was wondering if you face the same dilemma, is having the talent to match what the companies that we're trying to attract, because that is a major factor for them, whether it's a space company, aerospace company, or advanced manufacturing. So it doesn't sound like you have as much problem because you actually have your own way of training, but is that common in your industry?
Perhaps in the commercial software realm, but you said what this county specifically has really going for it is a huge wealth of educated leaders who have been trained in process. So I would think, and of course this isn't my field, but that would be a huge attraction to people looking to employ ex-military, people who can attention to detail, who follow a process, leaders in the manufacturing field, and even in the IT field. A lot of the IT we did, like the battery companies, I jokingly call them, are very efficient if you have the skills, because they do have a lot of process. They're building an application and maybe a waterfall methodology, getting things done. And so one of the reasons we decided to come here was the wealth of education. There's so many universities around here. The military drives people to just get more and more training, more education. And so there's a higher pool, I think, of very educated, very skilled people in this area.
So you and Vince really have distinct responsibilities with the company. Now you really worked that out probably quite a while ago, that you had certain expertise and Vince has his expertise, and that seems to blend real well. Obviously, you're very successful.
It has, and we have slightly different personality types. Vince is a D, which is very direct. I'm more of a C, a detail-oriented type person. I jokingly say that Vince is the reason we're as big as we are, and I'm the reason we're not out of business. but to be honest, and not just to be self-deprecating, but the truth is that I'm really blessed to have such a great best friend. He is so intelligent. He's got a great memory, and he masters multiple topics. So Vince is the CEO of the company, and the front man. He tends to be more the customer-facing person. He would typically be on this show instead of me, but he was unavailable.
Well, you
today.
know that if you weren't available, we would have had Vince.
Exactly.
You know that, Vince, right?
He's much better in public. Technically, Vince has written several books. He really keeps up with the technology and the business. He was accepted into the Notre Dame Executive MBA program, and he's finishing up this March. So he understands at all levels of our company, lifelong learning is one of our core values, and we have to adapt. We were originally craftsmen entrepreneurs. We knew how to do something, and we got paid to do it. But after a time, we had to learn to be entrepreneurs and businessmen, and that took a completely different set of skills.
Today, as you look back, 15 years celebrating BitWizards, if you had to do it all over again, what would you do differently?
Wow, there are so many things. I like to, to be honest, to be an entrepreneur means to fail often and fail quickly, regroup and start over. I think we probably would have changed our focus to be more business oriented earlier, because it wasn't really until 2009, we were just we didn't even really have salespeople. We were just doing work, and because we did good work, we happened to get referrals. But there is a limit to those referrals and a high ticket item that we have. We had to really branch out. And so Vince and I didn't really start thinking about growing our company or working on the company versus in the company until about 2009, 2010. And now that we've kind of changed that focus, we're putting a lot more emphasis on, replicating our process, making sure that we still give the white glove service, top technical talent, customer service that we're known for, but get that to scale.
Yeah, I'll tell you, every time I've been in your offices, there's no question about it that you guys are very customer oriented. You put that customer first, which, that's part of running a successful business, but not everybody knows that, I wanted to ask you who your competition was and who your customers are. Maybe start with the competition. Who's really your competition? You're a small business, but you've got a lot of recognition nationally. Who do you admire in your industry?
We admire several companies that we compete with, that we're proud to compete with, because some of them are so much bigger than we are, and we end up being seen at the same level. Catapult Systems out of Austin, Texas. CTS, which has offices throughout the southeast. Both solid companies, and that we admire and that we compete with. Our customers, we've had Cook-Hurlburt, which we're doing a lot of work for the power industry. That's really where we got our start, was doing GIS systems for the power. Duke Energy and others through Cook-Hurlburt was a transformative company of our, and then early on Viva International, they do high fashion designer sunglasses and eyewear, was one of the companies that allowed us to the next level. And then currently we're working for ExxonMobil, IMG Models, the world's largest modeling agency, and IMG also has the sports section that they handle the royalty fees for that, and we do work for them on both sides of that, of that firm.
Pretty diverse.
Yeah, it's a billion-dollar company. I think they were just sold for a couple $1 billion. So they have a wide offering, and we've been in a lot of different business units for that company. But one company who's been a huge mainstay, probably our longest running client, is a local company. It's TSA Consulting. And just another hidden gem here in Fort Walton Beach. They have grown hugely.
Yes, they have,
they're in the retirement consulting business, and they provide a tool, ePARS, to help with electronic processing of retirement remittance, which is how we've been involved with them for so long, and then in their internal systems as well to help manage their company. And so they've been probably our longest running client right here in Fort Walton Beach.
Excellent. We want to talk about, and I have to do this because otherwise I think you'll hit me if I don't mention CMSP. So talk about the CMSP business. I think that's a new upcoming business for BitWizards.
Absolutely, yeah, we're really excited. And I have to tell a little backstory because we did start as a custom software development firm building.
Right.
And then because we believed in the user interface being so important, we bought a creative firm, and that gave us a competitive advantage on the high-end website market because we did that. But with, well, I say our core focus hasn't changed about the engineers. Technology has drastically changed with cloud computing, mobile computing, social media, big data. It's really transformed who we are. When the cloud really became, it's a huge boon to software engineers. We no longer have to deal with IT to deploy our solutions. We can deploy them straight to the cloud. However, companies simply don't move all their applications to the cloud. We actually now have a lot of hybrid systems, and so it's made things more complicated. So we opened an infrastructure arm to our business a couple years ago, and it's just been a huge boon to BitWizards. It's been doing such a great job. It's in high demand. And so we used it for the consulting on our software applications to help hybrid systems, to help communication, to set up our own internal testing environments and other things. But as our clients realized we had this business unit, they started asking for additional help. Being highly customer focused, we want to stay in our niche. We don't want to do everything for everyone, but we did want to help our clients. And so we started doing this, maintaining the systems, and we finally realized this is probably a really viable business model. We have such a high demand. So we're opening our CMSP business.
Which stands for?
Which is a cloud managed service provider. Now, MSPs it's your typical local, they manage your computer systems. Nobody gets into business to manage IT resources. They get into business for whatever it is they need to do. In your case, recruiting other companies to come here. Your website is a key component of that, but managing your website, managing the IT systems that go along with that really isn't what you want to be doing. Right. You want to be doing high value activities for your specific business. Not worrying about patches and antivirus and firewalls and all of this. So we've developed a proprietary system of being able to remotely, hence the cloud managed service provider, to remotely monitor systems for people, bringing the price point way down to be able to make sure that your patches are kept up. When a patch destroys or causes a problem, that we can be rolled back, keeping your antivirus up to speed, and any number of other activities, just a huge list of standard IT functions, so that companies don't have to deal with those things and they can do what they do. Now, if we do our jobs really well, you'll never see us. And so that check goes out every month and you say, what's going on? What am I paying for? So we actually report quarterly all the activities that were done behind the scenes to keep the systems running while people are doing it. We have current clients. We tested a few things out, got things moving, had a few clients. We're rolling out the entire process, the sales, the contracts, everything is being put in place now. And we should be ready in Q2 going gangbusters. But we're not turning anyone away at this moment as well. So,
well, I have to admit that we don't see a lot, and that's probably a good thing. But I have to say that as we're recruiting and our branding is becoming more well-known wherever we go. I have to attribute part of that to a good website that we have that BitWizards developed for us, because don't you find that most companies today rely on the web? If they've got a good web program, that their customers and potential customers are going to notice that, and that could create more activity for them.
Absolutely. I mean, really, the world has changed in how we do marketing and sales. Clients come much more educated. I mean, a website is no longer a competitive advantage. It is entry fee. Everybody must have one. People are going to go check you out.
Yeah.
And there was a big focus on SEO, search engine optimization, to make sure you got found. But now I like to joke, you're a needle amongst needles now. Once they get to their website, while SEO is important, I don't want to minimize it, what's really important is making sure that you get conversion of whatever it is you want to have happen on your website. And so a good, clean look, defining your audience, defining the actions you want your audience to have, figuring out ways to attract them with content or other things, and then converting them is key. So it's not just about technology, and I think that's the other thing that sets BitWizards apart. Our core values include trusted advisor, because you don't just tell us what to build. We need to work with you to help define who are those people, what do you want to do, bring our technology expertise with your business expertise. Absolutely.
We're out of time, unfortunately. As I told you, we'd go fast. You're listening to Louis Erickson, who's the COO, BitWizards Software, and we're one of his customers, and very proud to say that. Check our website, for example, florisgreatnorthwest.com, and see for yourself the kind of work that they do. Louis, thank you so much. I enjoyed having you on the show. Thank you for joining us today.